Let me say a hearty and special good morning to one and all, especially to our listeners via Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9. Good morning, and I hope all is well with you. Those of you who are viewing GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, or Channel 20, those of you who are viewing also via our social media platforms, whether it's the Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning, and welcome to another edition of To The Point. I'm your host, GT. With me this morning, I have the president of the PW, that's Mr. Brian Grimes. He's with me this morning. Mr. Grimes, good morning, and welcome. Nice to have you in person in the studio. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to the nation. Good morning to you, GT. I'm really happy to be here this morning to share with you in this period that we are having the Grenada Public Workers Union Week, and to just talk general union matters. I'm ecstatic about it, and I see also based on the studio that we are already in the festive season.
As we'll say locally, we see Christmas.
yes.
We see Christmas.
Morning to the nation.
All right, welcome. Let's kick it off this morning. You started off with the conversation. PW Week coming up. Give me a list of some of the activities that are taking place. I've been peeping at your Facebook page. I'm seeing some of the activities I mentioned already. I want you to tell me in person.
Yes. So we're having the Grenada Public Workers Union Week. This is an annual event, so it's not something that we just picked up and did this particular year. Every year we do the PW Week, right? And this year we are celebrating under the theme Saluting the Past, Embracing the Present, Shaping the Future, right? So we normally start off the week in church because we are an organization that is also faith-based. We are a Christian nation, and trade unions, a lot of it has Christian principles, in terms of representation of people and so forth, the poor and the needy. So we started off in the Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Shantimel yesterday. It was a wonderful session. It was a wonderful ceremony at that Catholic church. And today, part of the week is being on the great platform that I'm sitting here, To The Point, and also some members of the executive will be going out to different workplaces across the island. So we normally do visits, but we're going to have it a little bit more, deeper today, where we go across the island to visit different workplaces so that they can feel the presence of the union.
Can I get that interaction?
Get that interaction. The workers like to see the leadership. So, it's said that we are working hard in the background, working on collective bargaining agreements, advocating to management at workplaces, to the government and leadership of government and so forth on so many different issues. But workers, they don't always understand that, and they just like to be able to touch the hem of the garment of the union leadership.
So the union did that for us, and that's it.
They just like to feel and understand and let their points be brought across face to face. So today we'll have some visits across the island.
Right. Tell me the theme. You spoke about the theme. Give me a little more insights about the theme. A little bit.
Yes.
The reason why a theme of that nature was good.
Yeah, it's a theme I actually feel extremely connected with. Saluting the past, embracing the present, and shaping the future. Now, that team, we brainstormed that, and it's something that we have to do as leaders within the movement. Recognize the contributions of the giants that led this organization in the past. So, for example, on the 21st of August of this year, we renamed our scholarship ceremony. This is one of our best flagship programs after Sister Lauret Clarkson. As you're well aware, she was the longest serving president that we had, the first female president, and she made some incredible contributions to our organization. So we renamed the scholarship ceremony, so it's now the Lauret Clarkson Scholarship Awards. And this week, on the 22nd, Wednesday, we are going to rename the conference room after Sister Madonna Harford, who sadly passed away in July of this year. And we were planning to do that while she was alive, but she passed. And so we want to, pay homage to our past leaders and so forth, people who made incredible contributions. Sister Harford herself served 10 years, and she was instrumental in the rebuilding of the PW headquarters after Ivan. She almost single-handedly drove herself to the ground, ensuring that building came back and everything, so that we actually have a headquarters that workers can say this belongs to us. So we have to pay some respects and homage to those. Embracing the present in terms of the team, we have to struggles, right? We have to be involved in it. Just this morning, I was looking at my Facebook gave me a little memory from 5 years ago. We were in the heart of town, meaning all the unions, not just PW, marching for our pension, right? Unfortunately, in 2022, we were able to see the courts, right? The courts gave judgment in favor of workers, and today, people, once you retire, you're able to get your pension. So the struggle, sometimes it seems as though it's far away, but that memory made me understand that you have to embrace the present struggle, because in the future you will get a reward. And then the shaping the future aspect of it is basically succession planning. Because, for example, Sister Madonna Harford was a mentor of mine, and she saw something in me at that time I didn't see in myself in terms of leadership, and she basically grew me to be part of the union leadership. So I went from the youth chair, I went to be the PRO, and now I am the president. So now it's incumbent upon me and the other union leaders within the executive to sort of pay forward and, encourage others to come on board, so that down the road there will be new leadership and there will be continuity in the organization. Great. So it's a wonderful theme.
All right. Yeah. Tell me, let's still talk, of course, on PW Week. Anything that will be of a significant nature during this week of activities?
Yeah, so I just spoke to one of the things. I think the most... Well, I don't want to say it's the most, but something that is important is the renaming ceremony.
The renaming ceremony, yes, that's one of the significant aspects of it.
Yeah, that's significant, right? And also on Friday, just to go through it, because different people have different responsibilities for different days on our executive. So I'll speak to all, and it's very quickly.
Sure,
so today I'm on to the point, spreading the gospel of the union, and we're going to do the workplace visits. Tuesday is an off day. We have some preparations to do. Wednesday is the renaming ceremony at 5 o'clock, and Thursday there will be some physical, the health aspect of it, yoga, self-defense classes. That will be at the headquarters, right? And Friday, we have a fun day. That's going to be incredible. We're going to have dominoes. We're going to have bingo. We have free waters, managed waters,
all right.
So to speak, music, and just camaraderie. So we want people, our public officers, to really turn out to that, to enjoy themselves. The headquarters belongs to you. This is what you pay your dues for: representation, maintenance of the building, and so forth. So come and enjoy yourselves. We're going to prepare the environment to just come, and we're going to have barbecue there and everything, barbecue on sale, drinks on sale, free managed waters, and just music and camaraderie. So we look forward to Friday to have a bumper time.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday, I think, is also significant, the 22nd, where we rename the conference room after the great Sister Madonna Harford.
And certainly happy to hear that. And I'm certainly sure, of course, members who supported her, and even the executive, they will certainly be.
Of course, she was beloved by everybody, not just in Grenada, but I can tell you in the region. When she passed, people were so distraught, because she meant so much to the movement in terms of mentorship to so many. I think after she left, each president, she mentored each one. Brother Adrian Francis, Sister Rachel Roberts, myself. So the influence is, it cannot really be measured in terms of the people's lives that she touched. And I think one of the things I'm concerned about, GT, is that as organizations, trade union, we don't really archive the past enough, the accomplishments of those who came before us. So sometimes I hunt for material on Sister Clarkson. I can't see enough. Even Sister Madonna, I can't see enough. But for me, as the current president, you may see things because it's a social media era or whatever it is. So understanding the greatness of those past presidents, I think it's important that you name things after them, do things so that when people come in, for example, the conference room, that they can see Madonna Harford. Who is Madonna Harford? And then someone can explain. You have the scholarship awards, Lorette Clarkson. Who was Lorette Clarkson? And then you can explain. So the name lives on. So this is what.
But maybe you could take it upon yourself, being the president now, to probably create that probably that initiative where you know of the past presidents and so forth. Create that area where you got that memory of them.
Of course,
in a sort of an archived way.
Yes. So that's
you could think about that. Let me ask you this: the growth of PW, from your personal perspective over the years, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, well, I think we are growing, not at an incredible rocket pace, but there has been some growth. In my view, what a leader has to do, and I'm the current president, once you get the organization at a certain point, you have to take it and bring it forward so that when you pass it on, the person gets an even better organization, right? And then they have to do the same and so forth. So my thing is, as current president, I don't want to drop the ball. I want to make the organization even better than how I got it, and then the person who receives it in terms of leadership, the baton passing, they can do the same, and the executive at that time. So the unity is there. The current executive of the GPW is extremely united. I can say with some level of confidence that in terms of advocacy, we are one of the stronger unions in Grenada, Carriacou, and Pidimantlik in terms of advocating on workers' issues. And we are doing our best to really rebuild the organization, not just in traditional trade union activities, but internal infrastructure. So, for example, we have recently brought in a new tenant to our space, the Tropical Shipping.
Okay.
The CEO is Mr. Chenny Joseph, a well-known figure in our country. So we are looking for ways to increase the revenue, as well as to increase and improve on our advocacy for workers in this country. And I dare say that we are seeing incremental increases, and that we are trending upwards and not downwards.
All right. Let's switch the conversation, and I certainly wish you all the best in terms of the PW week, and certainly hope all the workers and all the activities that are planned works out in a positive light.
It will.
It certainly works out in a positive light.
Yes.
A key conversation we want to get into healthcare in Grenada. From a PW perspective, how is that?
Yes, I want to be very careful how I answer this, because healthcare is very important to us. A huge part of our bargaining unit is made up of health sector workers, a huge part. They remit dues to our organization, and they play an extremely key role into the functioning of our society. The nurses, some doctors, the orderlies, the cleaners at the hospital, and so forth. To be honest with you, I'm a bit disappointed in where we are with healthcare in this country at this particular time.
At what level would you say you're disappointed?
I'm very disappointed.
Very.
Yeah, because
you said very.
Yeah.
But sometimes very have levels.
Yeah. well, very emphasizes the point of it. I could just say disappointed. Why I am, because not that I am expecting miraculous turnaround, but remember, this was 2023 was the healthcare year.
Yes.
Right? And what we are seeing is that, have we seen a really a transition where you can say, wow, there's marked improvement here? What we are seeing is like the workers are still leaving. The complaints from the general public are still present. I saw one good gesture in that they are creating a complaints committee so that they can fix things. But generally, I am disappointed. And I'll tell you where. You see now, healthcare is widely encompassing, but the union focuses on the aspect of the human resource personnel, and these are the people who have to deliver the service. So you can have the biggest, best looking hospital or polyclinic like up in Guava, wherever it is, but if there are not people there to man it, what's really going to happen? So the aspect of regularization, we have not really seen any form of regularization for health sector workers. And this, when the nurses do their exit interviews and they're leaving the country, job security is the most important thing. The government could claim that they give an incentive allowance, which they end up taxing. They promise the workers that they would not tax, but they tax it. But that would not solve the problem, and we stated that. The data is there, the evidence is there to show that the biggest issue is workers want job security. They want to be able to be regularized in order that when they leave, they can get social security, meaning a pension, GT. So that is not happening. And my research has told me, and I want to go on record as saying this, my research has told me that the government is strongly considering the statutorization or the privatization of healthcare. This is what, this is what my understanding is. They can come and deny or whatever they say or admit, whichever one. But this is, and I am likened to believe this, because when you regularize, and I want you to understand, and I want the general public to understand where I'm coming from. When you regularize workers, immediately they become entitled to pension and these sort of benefits. Now, if you want to privatize or reorganize an organization based on the Constitution of Grenada under Section 84.8, you tell them, okay, well, you have to go over, we go into private now. You have to immediately pay that person as though they are pensionable, regardless of the age or whatever it is. So we see the year of healthcare, basically no nurses have been regularized. They keep going. It's in crisis. What is really the genesis or the cause of this? Right? So if you have an organization, if you have a sector in crisis, would you not, GT, put emphasis on cleaning it up?
I would agree.
Right?
You fix it before you do anything else.
So we continue to see the drawbacks there. And myself, as the current president of the union, I don't want to play games with those workers that we represent. I don't want to give them any false expectations. I will tell you, our organization, in terms of advocacy for these workers at the table, we have provided names. I'll tell you what, from the president of the Nurses Association, myself, the only thing that union representatives have not done when we speak to government officials is cry tears. Or go down on our knees in those settings. We have done all possible to demonstrate, and the general public understands the importance of regularization and just putting emphasis on healthcare, but we have not had any response. So I would like for the government of Grenada to come through and state exactly what is their intention. Is it privatization or statutorization, which would have a negative effect? That's a form of union busting, right, on the union. That's one. And two, it can potentially make healthcare more expensive for the regular man on the street or the regular woman on the street, because access to healthcare, people can go to the hospital and get free treatment. If you privatize, automatically it becomes more expensive. So this is where we are. I just want to tell the health sector workers, yes, we are advocating for your regularization and so forth, but we are meeting hurdles, and we want transparency in terms of why we are meeting hurdles at this point in time.
That's definitely an interesting story there, hearing coming from you. Tell me, has the union had a chance to meet with the Minister of Health yet?
The Minister of Health, my good friend, my good friend, Minister Jonathan Lacrette. If I happen to bounce him up, our interactions, he's always busy running. It's very cordial, very respectful. But sadly, the union has not gotten that opportunity to sit with Minister Lacrette for the whole year and a half he has been the minister. And recently, we had a protest action for community mental health workers. Hats off to the workers, but also to the ministry, the PS, Ms. Jeremiah, even Minister Lacrette, just the Ministry of Health in terms of resolving that particular issue. But even before that, we seek an audience with the minister. We did not get the opportunity. During that period, we seeked an audience, and to this day, we have not had that sit-down with Minister Lacrette.
What were some of the reasons stated for not being available for us?
The reason stated that we heard it from the PS is that the minister is the policy maker, and the administrative aspects, the PS handle that, so they can speak on administrative issues. So we have to take that. It's unusual because the truth is the union is an important stakeholder in this country. Pre-election, the union was viewed as an important stakeholder because we represent a bargaining unit that has to go to the polls and make decisions based on the policy, the intended policy of a potential government. And so when you're in there, it is important that you sit and speak, because the issues of the past may not be the issues of the present. And we as union leaders, we speak for hundreds of thousands of workers. So I would think, respectfully, that any minister, if the union calls upon them, would come and listen to what a union leader has to say, not because, well, it's Brian Grimes, because I am just the current holder of the post. But the principle of sitting with whoever is the executive or the president is critically important. So I think a minister would recognize it. But everyone has a different way of doing things. Let us see if that brings success or failure going forward.
What are some of the issues that you would really like to discuss with the minister, just in case that meeting, of course, gets to happen?
The issues, we don't just want to complain. We want to know from the minister, what do you want from us? What would make your job easier? And you can only learn these things through social dialogue, yes. Right? We have the health sector is a very troubled sector. So, for example, within that sector, you have a lot of people receiving their salaries late. For whatever reason. I don't know if it's related to the bi-monthly and the administrative aspects of that, but health has that issue. The issue of the same regularization. What are your intentions? Why haven't any nurses been regularized? While we can talk about our friends in the teaching fraternity, which we are so happy for, getting hundreds regularized and so forth. We're happy for them, and we would want to see something similar within the health sector. So we want to ask all these questions, but it's not about making demands per se. It's about, hey, what can we do to help you? How can we help you to be a better leader within the sector? And
what can I feed you, and when you feed me, what should work? For us to come to that common understanding and work collaboratively for the development of the sector and the country. Yeah? Understandably so. So, Grams, we do for a break. Let's take it, and when we come back, we discuss some more. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here on Classic Radio and GBN TV. We'll be right back after the break.
National Lotteries Authority is a proud sponsor of many cultural activities within the Tri-Island state of Grenada.
My name is Anderson Matterson, also known as Leftist, and I'm a calypsonian and string band music player from Carrico. I support the games of the National Lottery Authority because culture benefits tremendously. Annually, the NLA supports the Carrico and Pittimatney Carnival, the Carrico String Band Music Festival, and all regattas, among other activities. When I play the game of the NLA, I can see where my money goes, and it's an investment into our culture.
Yes, Grenada, when you play the games of the NLA, you enable us to invest in the skills and talents of our people in the areas of sports, culture, and nation building.
Hello everyone. Here is an invitation to join me this and every Sunday until December 17th on GBN Television and K105 FM from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. for Yuletide Sundays. Great music, gifts, and all the wonderful things of Christmas. Yuletide Sundays comes to you compliments Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices, Grenville Credit Union, Gittins Healthcare, and Clear Vision Eye Center.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. It's to the point here on Classic Radio GBN TV with me this morning, President of the PW, Mr. Brian Grimes. Mr. Grimes, welcome back.
Thank you.
We spoke a wee bit on healthcare. We spoke about the of course PW week of activities coming up.
Right.
I want to continue on a leg of regularization. Mm-hmm. You spoke a wee bit about the nurses, those who still hasn't been regularized. Regularization on a whole is a concern in Grenada.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, from all aspects of workers who would like to be regularized. Let's speak on that this morning.
Right. So we had a recent meeting with the Department of Public Administration regarding regularization, and we found some things that resonated well, and we found some things that caused concern from the position of the PW. So for the PW members listening right now, we understand that about 300 workers will be regularized in terms of by Christmas, right? And when we speak about regularization in that context, it may not be like a contract worker becoming permanent, but it will be in the context of a public service commission worker acting in a position, being confirmed in that position. So with our bargaining unit, there are different layers. So they are doing the easy regularization, people who act in a higher position and you confirm them and things of that nature. So yes, that is a positive. Another positive is that, and this is something the union has been pushing for a long time, the years that were temporary or unregularized, that's for people who are contract and will now become part of the PSC on the establishment, that will be considered for pensionable purposes.
All right.
Right? So they don't throw away the years. So if you're working 10 years temporary and then they regularize you now, they're not going to start you from year one to say, well, all the 10 years can't count for pension because you have to make a certain amount of years to be pensionable. So those will be counted, and this is something we have been pushing, and we got confirmation from officials that those years will be counted. Where we having an issue is how it's being done, because normally if you make someone permanent and you regularize them, you go back a little retroactive, a little bit back, so that they can get some monies for that back period. This is the tradition of regularization. In the past, unions have made concessions with that, where you don't go all the way back, but you may go back for a year, so that person could get a year difference in terms of what the salary should have been during that period. This administration, I understand, is not going to give anything retroactive at all, and workers are a bit hurt about that part of it.
All right.
Right? And then, on top of that, we have seen and we have gotten information from the Ministry of Finance. People get the letters and they don't if you're working for $1,500, you regularize and you continue to work for $1,500. Normally they bump you up,
exactly.
a couple points on the scale considering
because you're on another level now.
You're on another level now. So those two things are of grave concern to workers and the union, and we will continue to talk to DPA so that they can adjust things in terms of making it a little bit more objective and fair on behalf of workers.
All right. That's interesting to know. So, so as you said, there still have been some folks who have benefited from it, even though it's not fully as yet, but there are individuals who would fully, of course, understand. There's another question that comes to mind that I would like to of course, ask. Let's talk a wee bit about workers for a wee bit. Your take. Would you say workers are better off now than 2 years ago?
Well, GT, I see you're trying to put me on the spot, but that's okay. That's part of the menu when you come on GBN. As you can tell, I try my best from the position I sit to be as objective as possible, right? When good happens, you say, well, this is good, and we're happy for it. And if something that is there that concerns workers, we also speak to that. So in the last couple of years, I can say the workers are getting very stout representation from the union, with myself and the whole executive and everybody giving their best in the media, behind the media, wherever it is. So we have seen some good developments. For example, the pension.
Yes.
That is an incredible generational something that we have been fighting for the last 30-something years as unions.
So that's a plus.
That is a plus. That is a great plus. And then what we have seen as a plus also is that there are attempts. Not attempts. We are in full force, full gear towards a minimum wage review to be implemented in January of 2024, right? And I actually sit on the minimum wage advisory committee, and this is something I've been advocating for a while. And it doesn't affect much PW workers. It's more nationally based, but I think that is a huge step in the right direction in terms of the minimum wage review, the payment of pension and so forth. So I see those things as positive as far as the workers are concerned. One area that I think can be improved is access to dispute resolution at the level of the Ministry of Labour. I think that has been extremely poor, to be honest. We have had matters that are years old, and we have not gotten the opportunity for whatever reason. I can't say what it is. The leadership in the Ministry of Labour can probably speak to it, but we can't get access to sit. And access to justice is important, GT, in any democracy. You get fired, you have a grievance. The Ministry of Labour is set up to see through and see those matters to a justifiable ending. And what we see is that workers don't even get the opportunity to sit and discuss these matters to get a recommendation or a particular judgment on issues. So that is of serious concern to us.
And these issues are not new issues, huh?
No.
These are not new issues, I mean, some people like to see these things rectified in time to come.
Yeah.
I mean, as you as a union president, I mean, what would you like to see in terms of fixing issues like that? What would you like to see the authorities do to fix issues like that?
Well, I mean, these things are not rocket science, you just have to have once you're in leadership targeted implementation. So to be honest, any government will have a million things to do, but just to give a little respectful advice from the little position that I sit, you prioritize things. So you put things on levels. What is the top 10? Right? And workers' issues are supposed to be at the top because the workers drive our country, drive the economy, and they make up the bulk of the electorate. So if there are any issues, you take them off one by one. You can't do everything one time. But in regards to workers being able to be given the opportunity to get a hearing at Labour, I think they are really, really sorely lacking in that area. Yes, so one can say, well, they just reach, give them a no. Let us be realistic. This thing can be fixed with a level of urgency once the political will is put in place.
Wage increase for a couple of statutory bodies. Tell me about that.
Yeah. You're on the ball, GT. So we are seeing some troubling developments. So, for example, the new administration came in.
Yeah.
And the TAMCC issue was a big issue. That was months of protests. They came in and they paid the increases for a back period. Right? A lesser known entity, the Grand Bacolet Juvenile Rehabilitation and Treatment Center, they also got some increases for a back period. I want to specify a back period, which is up to 2022. Those organizations hadn't seen increases for years, right? We are in a current period, right? A new wage cycle, and you understand we have galloping inflation, cost of living is going up and so forth. So ideally, you would want to see increases, little increases every year. It's not massive increases workers get, 3 and 4% and so forth. It's basically the tradition, but it stops a hole and it helps people to keep their head above water in terms of the cost of living. But we have seen that there seems to be a hesitation from these bodies, and I would dare say, even though they are statutory, I would dare say the administration to pay the new increases. We are here in talks in the back door. Well, not just that they get money or they want money again. This is not how it works. The Fiscal Responsibility Act, even I guess the Fiscal Resilience Act, would speak to giving timely wage increases to different bodies and workers so that you don't have to go through a cycle again, repeat the mistakes of the past, where you let a time pass, workers become frustrated, and it explodes into industrial action. So you pay the increases as time goes along based on the economic realities, right? Whatever your position is, a negotiator pay. With TAMCC and Grand Bacolet, a precedent has been set that whatever the public officers get, they will get from the back period, and we're looking for that to be continued, but we are getting a pushback there for whatever reason, and I can potentially see that ending up in a form of industrial unrest. I'm trying to let the authorities know what's going on, but we are meeting a little wall. Hopefully they can understand what is happening to prevent any explosion from the workers regarding these matters.
I want to ask you something. It's something I heard you speak of a couple of weeks ago. Any updates on that? That 4% that was, of course, counted for contract workers and so forth. Any updates on that in relation to that?
Right. That is a great question there. So we wrote about this to the Department of Public Administration a few times. In July the 13th, we wrote July the 31st, and we were not getting any forthcoming answers, because on the 28th of June, we had a very celebrated what I would say collective bargaining agreement signing, where what I deem it as groundbreaking.
So you're on TV, huh?
Yes. I was really happy because workers, contract workers were being given the opportunity now, based on that legal document and what we signed to get increases, and they have been crying out for that. They operate and work in the same economic space. They do work sometimes even more, admittedly, than established workers.
Yes.
But then their salaries ain't going nowhere. So we advocated as a union, and we got that put in there in the agreement. But then what came after that? Several months, a lot of workers approaching the union, different officials, myself, different officials, the PRO, different people. Well, brother guys, we're not seeing our 4%, and it's actually signed to. So we had the opportunity to seek an audience, get an audience with the DP on the 7th of November, and we were assured. And I want to say this to the workers now. We were assured, basically by government, because that entity, that agency is speaking on behalf of the policymaker, that the 4% would be paid very soon. Right? Because there seems to have been some misunderstanding with the finance officers across all the ministries. So they made it clear to them, pay the monies to all of them, And then retroactive payment will be given also for the period that they were not paid back to January. So Christmas should be bright for the contract workers. This was said to me by a trusted source, and I'm telling that to our workers and to the nation that it will be paid very soon. So the non-payment was not as a result of them saying, well, after they signed the agreement, let's go back on it. It was basically administrative issues, but I think it has been fixed now, so workers can look forward to that, and I'm very happy to bring some good news in this festive season.
In terms of good news, I want to ask you this, because we drew for a break, but I want to ask you this. What are some of the issues facing workers in the ministerial complex, and when we are relating to that, the EC and all of that, we've been hearing that talk about that. What are some of the, how's that process going? Has that been resolved anyway at all?
Yeah, well, the union wrote to the Ministry of Agriculture a few months ago about this matter, and we strangely got the Ministry of Infrastructure. We strangely got a response that was not very forthcoming. I'm not going to get into that, in terms of what the response was.
Okay.
But then we continue to advocate, because GT, you have to understand that it's a multiple layered something. You have workers leaving at 12, some at 2, and so forth, based on the heat. Remember, we just went through a serious historical heat wave.
Yes.
So what we have here is a situation where workers the productivity level dropped. So even though some will soldier on and go till 4, you're not operating in a level of comfort, optimal comfort to make you perform well. And then most of the others, they have issues, they leave early. So the general citizenry can't get service. So it was from that point the union was concerned about the service delivery as well as the health and safety, the welfare and the well-being of the workers. So from multiple angles. But we are happy to report that since our recent advocacy, since that time, not saying that was the cause for the development, but since that time we have seen that the ACs have landed.
Yes.
And it actually is in process right now, starting with the installation. They have decided to take the route where they start at the very top, maybe from the Prime Minister's ministry,
come down,
and then come down. So we're starting from the top, come down. So I'm happy to report that things are in train, and that most likely by the end of the year, all workers will be able to be work in a comfortable environment, and that will redound well for the overall service delivery and productivity in the country.
All right.
So that's good news also.
We drew for a break again, Mr. Grimes. Now let's take it when we come back. When we come back, I want us to talk a wee bit about pension reform.
Right.
I want us to talk a wee bit about that when we come back. Stay with us, folks. It's To The Point here. Then we will entertain some calls from our listeners and viewers this morning. I'm sure there will be listeners and viewers may will have a question or two they may want to ask. Yes. I see you smile on that for some reason or the other. When we come back, stay with us.
Yes.
That's not how you cross the pedestrian crossing.
Really? One day I just woke up and I saw pedestrian crosswalks on the road. No one really showed me how to use them properly.
Well, this is how it's done. You never cross before doing these things. They might save your life. First, when you get to the crosswalk, you stop. You look left, you look right. If there's a vehicle coming, you put your hand out, making eye contact with the driver, indicating that you want to cross. And only when the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you quickly cross to the other side.
Stop, look, hand out, eye contact. Wait for pedestrian to cross to the other side, then you happily continue on your journey. This message is brought to you by this group of insurance companies, the Traffic Advisory Body, and the Traffic Department.
to see my granddaughter.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point here on Classic Radio, GBN TV, for a lovely Monday morning. Back with Mr. Brian Grimes, the president of the PWU. Mr. Graham, we did, before the break, we did speak about, pension reform. I wanted to get a little bit of conversation about that because I'm seeing my phones are going, and I know the individuals who may like to ask you a question or two.
Right.
I hope it's not a lengthy response you will give. So let's talk pension reform and where we at with it.
Pension reform. It is something that is important. So I spoke earlier when you asked about the last 2 years, and I spoke to the payment of pension as a great positive for our workers in the country. But I acknowledge Brian Grimes as president of the union, and by and large the council that I sit on with the other leaders of the union, that pension reform must take place, right? Because we want the pension to be as sustainable as possible, right? So there are no doubts about that. So we are not against pension reform. We fortunately got the opportunity to sit with a member of the Pension Reform Committee on the 16th. That's just a few days
ago. All right.
And the union has a concern. So we for pension reform, but here what the concern is. For the whole period, as the biggest public sector union in this country, we were not part of the reform committee. Allegedly, it was stated that the TUC, which is the umbrella body for all the unions in the country, was offered one space. Think about it. You have the PW, you have the GUT, the Grenada Union of Teachers, and you have the Technical and Allied Workers Union, right, who have public sector workers. The TAU doesn't have nearly as much as the PW or the GUT, but you have one space. And then the Pension Reform Committee is saying now, well, that representative, the person's name eludes me at this point in time, but the message that was brought forward is that there will be, the intention is to implement in January of 2024. I listened to some of the suggestions. One thing I can say to workers for clarity, those who are pensionable now, they would not be subject to the actuarial or the changes, the proposed changes. So that will be basically for new entrants. But even with that, there will be union members too. But the things that were spoken of, there was some complexity to it. And if things have any level of complexity, social dialogue needs to ensue. A lot of consultation needs to take place. So we have requested the document so that we can give feedback and so forth. But personally, we are not in tune with the aggressive implementation of pension reform without buy-in, real definitive buy-in from the unions and workers in general. So let's see where that goes. But in principle, I want to record that we are for pension reform because we see the necessity. It is just the how.
All right. We promised to take some calls, but I do have one question and a couple of questions from, of course, some folks who are listening. Someone wants to ask about the statistical plan for workers. How many workers are disgruntled about this particular plan?
Disgruntled?
Yeah.
Well, there is no perfect plan. We believe that health insurance is absolutely vital. Right? So when we start with government this year, we actually negotiated where instead of workers paying 50%, they now pay 45% of the premium. In other words, it was 50-50. Government has decided to bite off a little bit more in terms of that premium payment. So we put that on the table there, which will make the plan even more attractive. Right now, we are on a membership drive because, as you can imagine, in a group health insurance plan, the more members you have, it is better for the union to negotiate better benefits. So we are on that drive right now, and we hope that workers will come on. We have been doing that drive, and it ends. It's continuous, but the drive to come on in open enrollment, meaning now that workers would not have to go through the rigors of doing all sorts of tests and things, that ends end of November. So we hope that people can send in their forms before that time. But all in all, we want workers to come on the plan because it's a great thing. Health insurance is no longer optional. You see what's happening, people going around all over the place begging for money when they get sick. If you have health insurance, you just have to claim, and if you have to get a big surgery for yourself or your loved one, and depending on which plan you have, you're covered there, and you don't have to suffer the indignity of having to beg for money just to stay alive or for your loved one to stay alive. In addition to that, just to say, if the more members we get, it puts us as a union in a better bargaining position to get better benefits and so forth. And our period for renewal is March next year, so hopefully we can get even better benefits in the new year.
All right, let's take our first caller. Caller, good morning. Guess we lost that caller. I guess that caller was a little impatient there. Let's take one question from someone on via the Facebook page before we entertain the calls. And this individual is saying, Mr. Grimes, the opposition leader on many of his town hall meetings has been making many allegations saying that many people are being fired, businesses are being shutting down, victimization are on a rise in order we are of our worse than before. The question that they're asking is what's the stand on as the union president to you been seeing any of what the opposition leaders alert to or been learned about?
Right. Yeah, I've seen, I've heard. I follow current affairs as a union leader. It's imperative that I follow what's going on in the political landscape and so forth. So I've heard of this. In terms of the terminations, yes, earlier. Truthfully, the union had some issue with that. I think that has somewhat dissipated, and we spoke out about it. Our organization faced tremendous backlash for it, but we are built for it. As long as we are operating on principle and on the tenets of social justice and fairness in our society, we will continue to speak out and not be intimidated by anyone or anything in this country to speak for our workers. So, yes, and that's one of the issues I was referring to in terms of access to justice at the Ministry of Labour I spoke to earlier. But in terms of that continuous terminations and stuff, I think it has sort of leveled off. But there are outstanding issues to be dealt with because we are not NNP or NDC. We are Grenadians as we march towards 50 in this country.
All right, thank you so much. Let's entertain our first caller. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning. Good morning to Mr. Grimes. I wanted to find out, I mean, is it possible that there would be a situation where the people who need health insurance the most may not be able to afford health insurance, and then they would be left out, and they need the health insurance more than others, I would say. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you, caller.
So with that, thank you, caller, for that. So this is the emphasis we're trying to place on our Sagicor health insurance. We're partnering with Sagicor with that. And this is why we have to give kudos to the current administration for upping what they put into our health insurance from 50 to 55% in terms of paying the premium, which makes it more affordable for our workers. We want to make this as affordable as possible because I don't know, I can't even find the words to explain how important health insurance is. Everybody, you will take group insurance is cheaper than if you go and get the insurance privately. It's a lot cheaper, and we have a group insurance. So some people, you might take $55, $60 and do something frivolous with it. But if you invest that into a health insurance, you are investing in your future and your loved one's future. Because, for example, if you get sick, and I'm not even talking about if your loved one gets sick, they have to now look after you. There are numerous examples in this country where people have had considerable savings, right? And somebody gets sick, and the savings get drained in no time at all based on major surgeries and so forth. So you're protecting yourself, you're protecting your family when you have a health insurance. And we have the biggest group insurance in this country, and we are looking to improve the benefits when the negotiating cycle comes up upon us in March next year. So we encouraging workers, please sign up. Call the union. We have a insurance broker also. Get in touch with them. Get in touch with the union secretariat and sign up. This is a great opportunity.
All right. We do have another caller. Caller, good morning. You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, caller. Go ahead with your contribution.
My first question is about the group insurance. I have been in that group insurance for a lot of years until I pension, and I'm still into it. And I'll tell you the disadvantage of this insurance. And my opinion, they are only there to enhance the pocket of those who in authorities. I'll tell you why. Let's say, for example, for 20 years you have never claimed from that insurance. One day something happened to you, and you immediately submit a claim. Let's imagine that the first claim you submit for the year, and the claim come up to about $1,000, and you may need a fast reimbursement to continue your health assistance. You know, the deduction they would make on your first claim, as a man who is struggling, is going to put you in a disadvantaged position. So I think the best thing for people in this country, there's more education on how to prevent a lot of diseases and to improve on your health. I think our emphasis and need to be more in those areas rather than encouraging people to pay health insurance, because it's a crippler to a lot of us. I mean, I only not living insurance now because my age, I feel I will lose some long-term benefit, blah, blah, blah. But for young people who are to join that thing now, it's a very difficult thing. The next point I want to raise is about the question about the opposition leader. And you raised it to Brother Grimes. But you know, in this age now, we must not allow the political words of people to mislead the nation. I need Brother Grimes to tell the nation, as he supported the opposition leader on the firing, where, when, how much people that these things happen to. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
All right.
Any other party want to respond?
Right. So,
we have about approximately 5 minutes, so we probably ask, Master Control, give us an extra 2 minutes. All
right. Okay. Well, in regards to I want to thank the caller for his contributions. I think I recognize the voice. That's a former shop steward. I think so. In regards to the health insurance, I want to respectfully disagree with the caller. I believe in preventative medicine and so forth. So you take care of yourself, you eat more fruits, you exercise, you do all these things. But GT, come on. You have people you're an experienced man. They do everything in their power. They eat right, they ain't smoking, they ain't drinking, they ain't liming, and they come down with a cancer.
So true.
Right?
So true.
So what happens there? What you say, well, what have I done to deserve this? And you cry and you say, I've done all the right things, but here I am sick and I'm facing monstrous costs, and my family is facing monstrous costs in terms of paying to see if I can survive. No, you don't do that. I'm a responsible citizen. We'll do everything, because they say an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, and this is what we have to do. So you do whatever you have to do. You exercise, you eat right, but you always have that insurance policy there just in case something happens that you have no control over. So again, I want to encourage people to join the plan. Yeah, and again, I also want to say that we will sit with Sajiko to make the benefits even greater based on the amount of people that comes on the plan, which will increase or improve our bargaining leverage towards getting benefits of the plan. Now to the determinations and what the opposition leaders say, I just want to put it on record here. The Grenada Public Workers Union, we are a sovereign body. We don't follow political parties in the sense to direct where we go in terms of our advocacy. Most oftentimes, and you would notice, the union comes forward and then probably the opposition may jump on based on what it is. You notice the reality of it is oppositions are more in tune to follow what unions see, and then when you get in the government is a different thing. There are classic examples if you open your eyes and see. So regarding to that, I can say that we are doing what we have to do. In Carriacou, we had 5 people come to us. There were way more terminations than that, but 5 came to us as union members. We have that matter before the Ministry of Labour, and for whatever reason, there is gross avoidance in dealing with the matter. I don't know what it is, or what they are afraid of. And then we have also a matter which is not related to terminations and so forth, with some tax collectors that basically there's a report done by the previous government to say, well, this is in favor of the workers. There just has not been implementation of that decision from the Ministry of Labour, and I don't know why. But overall, justice is justice. Justice has no color, red, green, or yellow. We are all citizens, and as long as I'm the president, and I'm the current president, and I think any president going forward after me and even before me, their interest should not be on which color, political color this worker is affiliated with, but it's just about extracting as much social and economic justice as possible from the system. And I can say this is what the PW is about.
All right, we do probably have a final caller that we're able to entertain this morning for time reasons. Let's take our final caller. Caller, good morning, you're welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford, and good morning to your guests. On the discussion of not NI, but health insurance. I am presently in a health insurance, but I'm also a civil servant. How would that affect my insurance that I'm in presently? Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't think that individual being in other insurance would prevent them from coming on to our group insurance. I think there are mechanisms in place where someone can be on 2 insurance. I can't say the technical aspects. I don't want to get into it right now, but it's possible that they can join on our group health insurance even though they have a private insurance. That is their time. That is their investment. No one can prevent you from investing in yourself to whatever extent.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Grams, any closing comments this morning? We did speak a whole lot. Of course, this program could go on for the entire morning because there's so much, and I know there are lots of individuals who would like to contribute more, but for time reasons, anything in closing?
Yeah, well, I would just like to thank GBN and yourself for giving the Grenada Public Workers Union the platform to speak on the different issues that concerns us and the workers. And I would just like to encourage members of the union to really participate in the week of activities. Friday in particular, we have the fun day. Come to the headquarters, man. The headquarters need to be filled up with union workers. This is what you're paying your dues for. Come and enjoy some managed waters, buy some barbecue, have some drinks, and just have a good time. So the week of activities, it's predicated on the participation of the workers to make it a resounding success, and we look forward to that. And look forward also, PW members, that we as a union, under my leadership, that we will continue to advocate on all the issues that concern you. Just believe in your union, have faith in your union, call our union secretariat if you have issues, and we will take it forward to the employer to bring resolution and to bring justice.
All right. So, Graham, thank you so much for being here this morning. Constructive conversation, so that we could do this again.
Yes.
I have to do this again. It's a pleasure having you.
Yes.
I want to thank all who contributed to today's program, whether you called, you viewed, you listened, some way or the other. Thank you so much for being part of To The Point. Have yourself a great day, folks. That's what we say. Goodbye.